Anderson. Douglas. Rector. Rosales.
Here.
Tinsley. Vachaspati.
Here.
Harper.
Here.
Former President, approval of the agenda. So moved. Second. Mr. Rosales and Mr. Anderson. Oh, there is one change, item 8, is it? Is being pulled off the, it was carryover from last month. Which I was not here, I apologize. I thought you were going to update us or something. No, you guys voted on that, it's in the minutes. Yeah, I thought you were going to. Approval of minutes from October 2nd.
So moved.
Mr. Vachaspati, did I get that right? Yep. Okay, second by Mr. Douglas. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public participation, I see none. Communications from the committee? I didn't have to listen to one election ad today. Pleasant surprise.
Per our discussion at the last month's meeting, I was to come back and provide more information. So I think I've tried to do that with the document that you have before you. The first document there on page 4, it's just a photo, satellite photo of our parking lot. I wanted to give you a kind of a scope of what we have at the courthouse. There's 109 parking spaces that are in this lot. 580A at the north end. 47 are reserved for staff who work at the courthouse. 57 are available to the public or anyone on a rental basis. So, as I mentioned last month, one of the goals is to hopefully raise our prices a little bit so that we stop some of the staff from parking there majority of the day and taking away parking spaces. We're turning away some of the public who come to the building. They are going over and finding parking spaces with the city of Urbana, but they do have to walk a little further. So, next document on page 5 is, again, I updated the document that was handed out last month. I did verify with all these entities, City of Champaign, Urbana, U of I. These rates are consistent. It was brought up at the last meeting that patrons could, potentially go across the street and park on Main Street for a quarter an hour. Well, that used to be the rate in Urbana, but in June they raised the rates, so it's 50 cents per hour on the street. It's a little less than the parking garage. It's 25 cents for the first 2 hours per hour, and then 50 cents an hour after that. Some of the other cities, obviously, a little higher in other, what they're calling high rent districts, whether it's campus area, the hospital district, or the parking garage in Champaign. Page 6, I had mentioned that, and Patsy was here in question, what's the rate that we're billed for renting parking spaces for our staff at the courthouse at the Sable lot. Well, that rent is $17,280 a year to rent 60 spaces. They are full. In fact, we've actually got probably more parking passes out, but we haven't had an issue in the lot yet. We do check it. I'm in that probably at least once or twice a week, double checking and ensuring that there are parking spaces available for the staff there. There seem to be a number available, so it leads me to believe that we have a number of staff who are choosing to pay fees in our own courthouse parking lot. But we still have to provide parking where possible to our staff. So based on that information, I'm throwing out the first proposal we discussed at the last meeting. I thought was fair, moving to $1 per hour. New pay station, takes cash, coin, as well as credit cards. If that goes down, I've submitted a second proposal for consideration. And I guess I throw it up to you guys for questions, discussion.
Yeah, I did email Julia Aritz, and I asked her, who he's using this lot and sort of her analysis. I also asked the public defender. The state's attorney told me that the parking lot, courthouse employees sort of park where they're going to park, but the parking lot is mostly used by people coming into the courthouse. That'll be lawyers, litigants, people paying traffic tickets, people coming in for weddings, defendants, landlords, tenants, advocates from private agencies, witnesses, victims of crime, people coming for meetings, law enforcement officers, and a variety of people. I just think it makes, especially since they raised the rate on the meters on the street, I think 50 cents an hour would be an increase, would be an increase in income for us from the 25 cents an hour it is now, and I think it would sort of be reasonable for the area. So I would, I guess we need to probably have this as a motion on the floor, but then I think 50 cents an hour would be. Yeah, well, can we get this as a motion?
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I guess I can move that. I move to set, I move that we, I guess, adopt the second proposal, but just 50 cents an hour in general. That's the same rate as you'd pay at the parking meter right outside the parking lot. And it's a little more than you'd pay in the Urbana parking garage for the first 2 hours.
The price of the unit, and it's included in the documentation, but it's just under $10,000.
$98.90 total bill.
Well, you're raising the pay rate 25 cents a day. No, because the current rate is 25 cents the first hour and 50 cents after that. So you're raising 25 cents a day. Why bother? On the other hand, I would say most people, when I go to the courthouse, I'm there an hour or less. Most people are in and out. If you're there for a long time, you're probably not driving. You're probably walking in the door with things on your wrists and feet maybe. Yeah, but still, most people are in and out, And again, we're trying to create more spaces, and so I think 50 cents for the first 2 hours that's not much. It's $1. And then, yeah.
City of Urbana is taking care of the enforcement. The City of Urbana does not take care of ensuring that the asphalt and the paint are in good shape. The County of Champaign, the physical plant is responsible for that. We spent probably $8,000-9,000 last year in not resurfacing, but putting a new coat of top coat on it and repainting. It needs to be repainted again. Really needs to be done about every 18 months to 2 years. because we have this thing called winter, and we scrape it with a big shovel, basically, on a truck, and it takes the paint off. So there are expenses in maintaining it, and at some point, we'll have to actually grind it down several inches. And when you do that for that lot, you're probably looking at $40,000-$50,000 or more, way more.
Yeah, I know in the past that if money's available, yeah, it needs to be milled down and new asphalt put on it. I mean, it's a safety hazard for people walking with the cracks and, it's a liability. So,
I guess my question would be just, back of the envelope, how much are we talking about one versus what might be proposed as the alternate? And I want us to be competitive, and attract people to park there, so we can benefit from the fact that we're providing all this and spending all this money to provide it, and we can recoup as much as we can, but yet remain competitive in the market. So what is that? If it's $1 an hour, I don't know how often, even if it's half full throughout the day, in and out, it ends up being half full throughout the day.
Okay, so it's half full throughout the day. That's, let's say, 30 spots filled.
Yeah, it's $750 a day.
Yeah, there you go. So if we need to resurface it for $50,000 every, 5 years? I think we're doing all right.
8 to 10.
Yeah, every 8 to 10, I mean,
That's resurface. That's
milling it.
milling it down.
yeah.
Every couple of years, you're going to need to put reseal it on it.
Right.
That's not $120 a day. I'm figuring 8 hour a day.
Yeah.
How long have we had this machine? The parking meter?
The current one was put in place in 2009.
Okay, so it's less than 10 years.
Yeah. Think of it as a computer. Do you keep your computers at home for 8 to 10 years? No, they become obsolete, newer, faster. This one sits outside. This one gets abused by the public and others. Next year they will stop making parts for this particular unit, so it needs to be replaced.
Yeah. That's a point of order. I don't think Mr. Raspati's motion has had a second yet.
Yeah, I'll move to make it 50 cents across the board.
and it's pretty quick. We have met with and issued a purchase order to the smart parking meter company. Unit should be here by the end of December and installed. We look to go live January 2nd. We've got some work yet to do in terms of, we have the ability to put various colors, logos, so we'll try and utilize the county's logo. However, no one's ever adopted formally any specific PMS colors for the logo, so we'll do our best to make it look, yeah, black and white on doesn't kind of look that good, so we'll come up with something. Thought about potentially maybe we'll have some drafts that we'll send around, but there's some nice artwork that shows the courthouse with the addition. I was thinking maybe at the bottom of the unit, somehow making identifiable to the courthouse. But we'll come up with something and share it with the facility committee. Other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape. The unit will be built in early December, programmed up at the shop, manufacturer, and then shipped down here on a truck. Pretty good and easy install. We've checked the electric. It's 120 volt. It's there ready, and we've got conduit in place, actually with string in it to make it real easy so that we can pull some Cat 5 cable from the basement of the courthouse to the unit. So should be a pretty easy installation.
Are there any additional protective measures we could take regarding freezing rain or weathering?
Yes, and we have,
Top or on the sides,
we-
especially the keyboards?
we have done that. It has an internal heater and dehumidifier. Yep, for an additional price of $195, heater with a thermostat, and it's also got a dehumidifier in it.
So we're going with that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't do that, the paper has a tendency to gum up, if you will, and not print out and give receipts to our guests who are using the machine. So that's most helpful. But it also, obviously, on those really frigid winter days, keeps the unit working. So it's a steel cabinet. All the hinges are internal. It's got extra strength built into the cabinet. Readability in terms of the displays. It's backlit. It's if you do happen to have direct sunlight, if you're there at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and paying the fee, you'll still be able to read the keyboard as well as the display. So we think we've done our due diligence with this unit, and quite frankly, very happy with it, and very happy with the price. So we feel pretty good about it.
Where's this company out of?
Well,
Where's this company?
Canada. Yeah, there are unfortunately only a few here in the States. And some of those we did get price quotes on and were significantly higher. So obviously would have preferred to have somebody here in the States, but I think so. It's been well reviewed by folks who have purchased it over the last 5 years and talked to people and read their positive comments and some negative comments, but I think we've got a good machine, and certainly one that's going to be more reliable. It's also got some neat little tricks to it. It's got an audible alarm inside if somebody's trying to break in or knock it over. There's an alarm that goes off, but also there's a messaging that is sent then to the physical plant to let us know that there's something going on. If it's got any kind of an issue, a coin jam, a paper jam, something, we get the same emergency message from the unit. So our current machine, there are no messages. It's somebody walking up to a court security saying, "Hey, it took my quarter or won't take my money. Help,"
I was also thinking in terms of the signage on it.
Yes.
Maybe it could have some reference to the fact that you're not allowed to take your cell phone into the building. And if that's on there, that's gonna, I think there is
There is, but yeah, sure. Okay. Well, as we look at that and prepare the verbiage and the coloring, we'll make sure that gets put on there. Any other questions?
Anything else? I don't have a chair's report.
We do not have the meeting scheduled for December.
There are no committee meetings in December, so it'll be one big, fine, happy meeting on, I think, the 18th or something like that. Probably a little bit long. Correct. Hopefully they'll do that on the first Monday. They'll decide the committee, so that way then the composition of the committees will be chosen by the board chair at the first regular county board meeting. That's the plan.